Today we're going to go over making sure your BRRRR property is refinanceable. Here at Hard Money Mike, we do a lot of 100% financing for the purchase and rehab of a property for BRRRR. And at the same time, we make sure that the property is qualified for a long-term loan because we want to make sure you're not in the hard money loan for too long. But one thing to think about, you may be qualified to get, a rate and term of 75%, but is your property qualified? And I want to go through today what that means because we're running against more and more people who buy the property, get it all fixed up, and expect to refinance it out maybe at 75 or 80%, and they're hitting a wall. And that wall is the property does not actually qualify based on the DSCR ratio. So we want to go through just a quick example so you make sure you do the numbers before you purchase that BRRRR. So what do I mean when your property does not qualify? Remember on DSCR ratio, to keep the rates good, you have to break even, which is a 1 DSCR ratio. All that means is your rent equal your expenses. So just remember on DSCR ratios, when we talk about this, we're talking about where your rents and your expenses equal 1 or they break even. So maybe your property, maybe your credit score and everything qualifies, but maybe your property actually breaks even at a lower LTV. And let's go through an example of why that would be and why it's different in different zones. So let's use a property that has the valuation, ARV, whatever you want to call it, of $200,000. And you're looking for a rate and term or a loan at 75%. So you're looking for a $150,000 loan that's 75% of $200,000. You get into a BRRRR, you're all in at 150. You're pretty sure it's going to hit 200, so you can refinance out and get everything paid out without anything out of pocket. And let's just use a rate of 7.5%, which equals $1,050 per month. So that's your principal and interest based on a $150,000 loan at 7.5% on the DSCR loan. Remember, we're doing this just because we want to make sure when you refinance out of BRRRR, you're going to get into that DSCR loan. Now, two factors come in. What are the rents for this property in different areas? In one area, the property may rent for $1,400, and another may rent for $1,800. So this is one factor when we're looking at what does the property qualify for, is what are the rents in your area. So before you go out and purchase a property, make sure you got the Zillow rents, wherever it may be, to make sure your property's rents will qualify for the loan you're looking to refinance out in the BRRRR. So remember, what we're doing here is trying to find out the maximum loan to value before you purchase a BRRRR, what the property qualifies. So part of that is your mortgage payment, but there's other factors that come in too. Let's go through and write these down, and it's different for each area, and that's what we come up against. Is people have to understand what their taxes are. They have to understand what their insurance is. And if they have HOA or flood, they have to add those in when you're talking, that's flood insurance. So your taxes, your insurance, your HOA or flood, all have to be added to your payment, and we compare it to your rents. You have to go through the numbers. You have to understand your tax, insurance, and these, plus that, to make sure that it is less than your rents. If it is not, what's going to be affected is your loan amount. So you may find that in one area, let's just look at some examples. Like in one area, the taxes are $1,800. And then in another area, they're $3,600. And this may be just different states. Some states are lower, some states are higher in your taxes. So you just have to understand it's not only the size of the loan, but everything in it, including the expenses. Insurance, let's look at insurance of, just for example, of $1,200 in this state, and maybe this one's in Florida or one of the high risk areas, that's $3,600. This one does not have any HOA or flood. This one has an HOA, let's just say of $1,200. So what we see right away is that this property A, is going to have a lower monthly expense ratio compared to property B, which will affect what it qualifies for. In this case, if we add $1,800 and $1,200, we're going to get an annual cost of $3,000. We're going to divide that by 12 because we're looking for our monthly cost, and that's going to be $250. That's $250 in expenses that we have to add to our mortgage payment to see where we qualify. In this property right here, we have the $250. If we're going to add It's $1,050, and we're gonna see a total expense of $1,300 per month. If we're at $1,400, we're good. If we're at $1,800, we're good. That means with this property, with these expenses, the property itself can qualify for the max loan of $150,000. But now let's look and see if you have this property over here where the expenses are more than what you're looking at with property A. So here we're going to have the 36, and 1,200. We're going to come up with $8,400 a year. Divide that by 12 because we want to know our monthly expense. And that's going to come up to $700 per month. So the expenses on this property, $700. We're going to add that to the $1,050. And where you get $1,750. So what does this mean? It means if you're at $1,750 and your rents are only $1,400, you're not going to qualify for the whole $150,000. This may be somewhere in the $120 or $115 range. You're going to have to put more money in the property, not because the DSCR programs aren't out there or that you don't qualify, but this property doesn't qualify because where it breaks even. It's going to break even at $1,750. So if this property, if your expenses are $1,750 and your rents are only $1,400, it is not going to qualify. This property, not you, not the guidelines, is not going to qualify for the full $150,000. That means when you're looking at a BRRRR in a property like this, you're going to have to put more money in it than maybe you expected. Now, if you're lucky and your expenses are here and your rents are higher, you qualify. Anything below $1,750 means it's going to affect the amount of money you could get out of this property, which means you're going to put more money into a BRRRR property. So before you jump into a BRRRR, before you find out if you get 100% financing and you're thinking you're going to qualify for 75 or 80% rate and term, make sure your property does also. Find out where your rents are. Find out what your expenses are and find out where it breaks even. Where does that DSCR ratio equal 1? So you know at least the break-even point. Then you can go back and find out and make sure you qualify for the max loan that you're expecting. And as we see here, it could be as simple as taxes and insurance sneaking up on you and causing you to not get that maximum loan. If you want to make this easy, just reach out to us at hardmoneymike.com or me, Mike, at hardmoneymike.com, and we can run through these numbers with you. Or you could check out on our website, we have a calculator that you could put in your numbers and find out where your DSCR ratio is.